My name is Luna. I am 60 years old. And for 31 years, I believed I was a mother with a child in heaven. I remember the day they buried my daughter more clearly than I remember my own birthday. The sky was gray, not stormy, not dramatic, just dull, like the world had quietly decided to dim its lights out of respect. The coffin was too small. That is something no parent should ever have to think. I remember touching the polished wood and whispering, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." Then the dirt began to fall. And with every thud, something inside me collapsed. For 3 decades, I lived with that sound echoing in my chest. Until last week. At exactly 3:00 a.m., my phone rang. The call that rewrote my reality. When you're 60, a phone ringing at 3 a.m. doesn't mean celebration. It means fear. My heart pounded before I even reached for it. "Hello," I answered, my voice thick with sleep and age. "Is this Luna Reyes?" a calm woman asked. "Yes. This is Mercy General Hospital. We need to speak with you about your daughter." I froze. "My daughter died," I said slowly, 31 years ago. There was a pause on the other end. Then she said words that split my life into before and after. "She's alive. 31 years earlier. My daughter's name was Emilia. She was born on a spring morning when I was 29 years old and terrified of the world. When they placed her in my arms, she wrapped her tiny fingers around mine like she was claiming me. From that moment on, I belonged to her. Her father left before she turned 1, said he wasn't ready. Some people mistake responsibility for a burden instead of a blessing. So it was just us. I worked 2 jobs, mornings at a grocery store, evenings cleaning offices. I would come home exhausted, but the moment Emilia laughed, the fatigue dissolved. She loved butterflies. She chased them in the park as if she believed they were friends waiting for her. When she was 4, she got sick. It started with a fever, then seizures, then hospital lights that never turned off. The doctors spoke in complicated terms. Rare infection, critical condition, we're doing everything we can. I remember holding her tiny hand in the ICU. Machines beeped around us. "Mommy's here," I whispered. Then one night, a doctor placed his hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry." They didn't let me see her immediately. There were procedures, paperwork, explanations I couldn't absorb. I signed documents through a fog of grief. I buried my daughter, believing she was gone forever. The night everything changed. Back in the present, sitting on the edge of my bed with the phone pressed to my ear, I felt like I was unraveling. "This isn't possible," I said. "She was admitted after a car accident," the nurse explained gently. "She listed you as her emergency contact. There were inconsistencies in her early medical records. We believe there was a documentation error decades ago." "Documentation error," I repeated, my voice trembling. "We believe your daughter was mistakenly recorded as deceased. Another child passed away that night. Records were swapped." I couldn't breathe. "She's asking for you," the nurse added. That sentence shattered something inside me. Asking for me. The drive through the dark. The roads were empty. Streetlights flickered past like fading memories. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Part of me feared it was cruel coincidence. Another part feared it was true. What if she hated me? What if she thought I abandoned her? What if I walked into that room and saw a stranger wearing my daughter's face? The hospital doors slid open with a soft mechanical hum. The nurse led me down a hallway that smelled of antiseptic and second chances. We stopped at room 214. I stood there, 60 years old, heart pounding like a young woman in love. Except this wasn't love. This was terror and hope colliding. "Mom." She was sitting up in bed. Her hair was long, dark, slightly curled. Her eyes my eyes. She looked at me as if I might disappear. "Mom," she whispered. That one word broke 31 years of silence. I collapsed beside her bed, tears streaming down my face. Emilia, I sobbed. She started crying too, not gently, not politely. These were the tears of two people robbed of decades. We held each other like survivors of a shipwreck who had finally reached shore. The truth uncovered. Over the next weeks, investigators pieced together the unimaginable. The hospital where she had been treated had closed years ago. Many records were lost, but enough remained. That night in the ICU, two little girls with similar names were being treated. In the chaos, their files were switched. The child who passed away was not mine. My Emilia survived. But her paperwork said her mother had signed off and declined further involvement because I had signed death documents. She was transferred to long-term care under the wrong identification. By the time she recovered, the system believed she had no family. So she entered foster care. She grew up believing her mother didn't want her. And I grew old, believing my daughter was buried under stone and soil. Her life without me. Emilia is now 35. She told me her story slowly, as if unpacking fragile glass. 5 foster homes. 2 kind families. 3 that treated her like a temporary inconvenience. She learned not to get attached. She learned how to pack her things in under 10 minutes. She stopped asking why her mother never came. It hurt less to think you didn't exist, she admitted one night, because thinking you chose not to love me, that was unbearable. I wept. For every birthday she spent without me. For every scraped knee I didn't kiss. For every school play where she scanned the crowd hopping to see a familiar face. The space between us. Reunion doesn't erase pain. It magnifies it. There were awkward silences. Moments of anger. You signed the papers, she said once, her voice shaking. I thought you were gone, I replied. She looked at me, eyes wet. I thought I wasn't worth keeping. No mother survives hearing that without breaking. We went to counseling together. We learned that love can exist alongside grief. We started building something new, not trying to recreate the past, but creating a future. Visiting the grave. One afternoon, she asked to see the cemetery. I hesitated, but we went. There it stood, her name carved in stone. She stared at it quietly. That's surreal, she whispered, seeing your own grave. I talk to you here every week, I told her. We had the headstone removed. In its place, we planted a tree. Because she wasn't a memory. She was alive. And living things deserve living symbols. Learning each. At 60, I am learning how to be a mother to an adult daughter. She loves painting sunsets. She drinks her coffee black. She laughs loudly when she's comfortable. She flinches when someone slams a door. We are learning each other like two strangers who share the same heartbeat. Sometimes we cry for what we lost. Sometimes we laugh at how similar we are. Sometimes we simply sit in silence, grateful that the silence is shared. What I know now. I am Luna. I am 60 years old. I buried my daughter. And then I found her again. Life can fracture in a single moment. A signature, a mistake, a misplaced file. But love, real love, does not vanish. For 31 years, I spoke to a grave. For 31 years, she looked at the sky and wondered if someone, somewhere, missed her. We were alive at the same time. Breathing the same air. Walking the same streets. Two halves of a story torn apart by error and stitched back together by truth. The moral. If my life teaches anything, it is this. Never let grief close your heart completely. Never assume the story is finished just because it hurts beyond endurance. And never underestimate the power of truth, even when it arrives decades late. Systems can fail, paperwork can lie, time can steal. But love, patient, aching, persistent love, waits. And sometimes, when you least expect it, it answers the phone at 3 a.m. Every morning now, at 60 years old, I wake up and send one simple message. Good morning, my daughter. And every morning she replies. Good morning, Mom. After 31 years of silence, that is the most beautiful miracle I have ever known.